One of the questions I get asked a lot, especially on TikTok, is what is the best payment processor for a mobile notary? And to be honest, when I first started off as a notary, I made as many different platforms to process payments as possible. So in the beginning, I had Square, excuse me, I had Stripe, I had Cash App, I even took Venmo. And the reason I had all of those, and I took cash, and I had a card reader. But the reason I did all of those is because at that time I wanted to be able to accept any form of payment, especially when I was like broke at that time. I really wanted to be able to go to somebody's location, and if they said, "Oh, I don't have Cash App," I could be like, "Oh, okay, I have Venmo." Or if they said, "I have Venmo," I don't want to be like, "Oh, I don't have Venmo, I'm sorry." You know what I mean? So in the beginning, I started off having all of those different platforms. But what I mainly use now as my payment processor is Square. I use Square to process my payments. And would I recommend them? Eh. The reason I'm using Square now is because I built such a big book of business, a big book of business with them on Square to the point where they're giving me like loans and stuff like that. And I was using that to reinvest into the business. And then over time, the more you make, I think it's once you get to about $100,000 a year, they work on their processing fee with you and they bring that price down. So what I currently use now is Square, but the ones that I would recommend the most in the order of, I guess, greatest to least is I would go straight to your bank, use your bank as a payment processor. I would then use Stripe and then I would use Square. And here's the reason. Number one, with bank, they might be able to work with you on your processing fees and you build a greater relationship with them. So if you're going in and you're trying to get funding to reinvest more into your business, you've already had a relationship with them. You've already processed lots of payments through them. They know they can trust you and they have a greater chance of giving you credit. And usually when you get into like bigger companies, they don't use Square and Stripe and stuff like that. They use their bank. Why go to a third party company when you can just use your bank? So I would say go to your bank as one of the options. Secondly, I would have used Stripe if I didn't use my bank. Reason being is because once you get to a point where you have customers every now and then start to dispute payments, when you're doing that with Square, you will not, like, 90% of the time, even if you did everything correctly, even if you actually did your job, they're going to win those chargebacks and the customer is going to win that dispute. My personal opinion, when I worked with Square, not worked, as I'm working with Square, it's like they don't even care. They just let the customer win. So I'm just like, what the heck? So what I've learned, especially in the entrepreneur community, a lot of entrepreneurs go through that. If you don't believe me, go on Reddit and look up the problem that people have with Square. They don't win chargebacks. Customers can dispute it and they'll win. So that's why Square, I'm like, I wouldn't really recommend that to somebody else. Now with Stripe, on the other hand, I put that as number 2 because you actually have a chance of winning with Stripe. As long as you have the documentation that you need to prove that you actually provided the service and you have some sort of identification to prove that from the customer as well, you can actually win with Stripe. With Square, you don't really stand a chance. And one thing that Square and Stripe both have in common is once you start doing business with them for about 3 to 6 months, they start to offer you that loan. And that loan will slowly start to take, if you accept it, of course, it'll take a percentage out of each payment that you process, and then it'll use that to pay down the loan. But that's the benefit that with one of those two, with using Square and Stripe. And I'm pretty sure other places use it too. But those are the main two outside of my bank that I use right now. But if you want to start off and you're starting off fresh, I would say go directly to Stripe, especially if you're taking on payments online, because Stripe is very integratable also. But like I said, number one, go through your bank that you're already using, especially if you have a business account. Ask them if they have any like merchant services or if there's any way to process payments with them. And I'm sure they would be glad to help you out because they want more money coming in. They want to charge you and they want to make some more money off of you. So why not go through your bank? All these other third-party places are cool, but it's your bank, man. You already bank with them. So your bank, Stripe, Square. If you're smaller than that and you want to be able to take payments from everybody, then of course you can get the usuals. You can get your Cash Apps, your Venmo, so on, your Pigeon Mail. You can take check, you can take cash, you can take whatever you want in the beginning when you're first taking in clients. And as you start getting more clients, you want to slim down to using one thing. So I kind of think of it as a funnel. When I'm first starting off in the business, I take everything. Whatever you got. You got a horse you want to sell me? I'll take a horse too. I just need something. I'm broke. So I was just taking anything. And then as I started building up in the business, then I could start getting a little bit stingy. Like, nah, I only take Zelle and card. Work with me if you want to, because at that point, I'm confident and I have enough business coming in to where I can tell you, you better use one of these or I don't want to work with you. But in the beginning, you take what you can get. I know other people will say to start off taking one thing, but me, I'm saying take what you can get that money in so you can reinvest it back into your business. But those are the payment processes that I use. That's how I would recommend doing it. To each his own. Good luck, peace, love. Your boy Knowledge is out.